There's a part under your hood that punishes you the harder you try to take care of it. And the wild part is, it's the exact part folks clean themselves the most, thinking they're saving a buck at the shop. Problem is, the grime that kills this thing isn't sitting on the surface where a rag or a spray can reach it. It's buried inside the material itself, someplace no solvent, no brush, and no cleaner on a shelf can ever touch. So when you clean this part, best case, you did nothing. Worst case, and this is the common one, you just killed it without even knowing. Engine still fires up fine, no light on the dash, and weeks later your mileage starts creeping up before you find out that part's done for good. I'm going to walk you through why this piece behaves nothing like anything else under your hood, and what actually happens with every single cleaning method people swear by. There are 5 ways folks try to clean this thing, and all 5 wreck it. One of them kills it in seconds flat, and it happens to be the most popular method out there. And if you've cleaned yours before, stick around, because I'll show you exactly how to check whether it's still doing its job. I'm talking about the oxygen sensor, the O2 sensor, what some of the old-timers still call the lambda sensor. If this is the kind of stuff you're into, hit that subscribe button, and drop a like, because every week I put out videos like this one that keep you from throwing money away at the shop for nothing. Let's start at the end, because once this clicks, everything else falls into place. The oxygen sensor doesn't fail on the outside, it fails on the inside, and that means no amount of cleaning actually fixes anything. Wear and tear doesn't get cleaned off, it gets replaced. There are 3 ways this sensor breaks down internally, and none of them can be reached from the surface. The first is contamination inside the ceramic element itself. Over thousands of hours on the road, the sensor slowly soaks up burnt oil residue, silicon that leaches out of certain fuels, and phosphorus from your oil additives. All of that builds up inside the porous ceramic, not on the outer shell that any cleaner can reach. You could have that tip shining like new and the sensor could still be reading dead wrong, because the real problem sits 2 layers deeper than any cleaning product can go. The second is the internal heater wearing out. That heater brings the ceramic up to operating temperature, somewhere around 1200 to 1550 degrees Fahrenheit, right after you start the engine. Over time that filament loses efficiency, takes longer to warm up, and eventually quits altogether, even while the tip looks flawless. No visual check catches that, and no cleaning brings it back. The third is a loss of response speed. As the ceramic ages, it gets slower reacting to shifts in oxygen levels. A fresh sensor responds in milliseconds. An old one can take several full seconds, and to your computer, a slow sensor might as well be a sensor that's flat out lying to it. For a rough idea of lifespan, the older single-wire sensors, the ones without a heater, tend to last around 30,000 miles. The 3- and 4-wire versions with a built-in heater run anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 miles. If yours has already blown past those numbers, chances are it's worn out internally, no matter how clean it looks on the outside. The question was never whether you can clean this sensor. It's whether it still has what your engine needs from it. And looks alone won't answer that. This sensor doesn't act like anything else on your engine, and that's the mistake almost everybody makes, treating it like a spark plug or a fuel injector. The most common type, the zirconia sensor, has a ceramic core coated in platinum electrodes, in a layer just a few micrometers thick, thousands of times thinner than a sheet of paper. That layer is what actually generates the electrical signal. No platinum, no signal, just noise. There's a second weak point almost nobody knows about, the reference air channels that connect the ceramic element to the outside atmosphere. This sensor doesn't measure oxygen as a flat number, it compares the exhaust gas against the outside air. Clog those channels, and it loses that reference point completely, it's got nothing left to compare against. Keep those 2 things in mind, the platinum film and the air channels, because now I'll show you how people wreck both at the same time, with the best intentions in the world. Number 1. Spraying WD-40 or any silicone-based lubricant near the sensor. This is the most common method, and ironically it shows up even in experienced shops. The logic checks out, the threads are seized, so lubricate before you crank on it. The trouble is exhaust heat evaporates that oil and silicone right off, and since this sensor was built specifically to absorb whatever's floating around it, it soaks up that vapor directly. The sensor poisons itself, doing exactly the job it was designed to do. There's an actual term for it in automotive diagnostics: sensor poisoning, and the damage is permanent. It only gets worse from there. The sensor loses its ability to tell a rich mixture from a lean one, feeds bad data to the computer adjusts your fuel injection wrong, your mileage drops, and that silicone vapor keeps rolling down the exhaust and clogs your catalytic converter too, which also can't be cleaned once it's contaminated, only replaced, and that bill runs way higher than a sensor. No exceptions here, folks. WD-40, silicone spray, any oil-based aerosol. Keep it far away from the sensor and the exhaust, period. Number 2. Soaking it in gasoline. This one comes from guys who already know the sensor's dirty and actually want to do it the right way. Gasoline genuinely dissolves carbon and grime, but it also works its way into the microscopic pores in the ceramic. When that sensor goes back into an exhaust running over 1,600 degrees, the trapped gasoline flashes and burns violently from the inside out, which can crack the ceramic or wipe out the platinum for good. Even if it doesn't crack, it leaves carbon residue that permanently skews the reading. The sensor keeps putting out a signal. It's just a signal that no longer matches reality. Number 3. Brake cleaner or carb cleaner in a spray can. The one I promised you earlier. The one that kills it in seconds and happens to be the most used of all 5. These solvents attack that platinum coating on contact, and since that layer is only a few micrometers thick, it doesn't stand a chance. The very first spray already starts stripping platinum. We're not talking weeks later, we're talking instantly. No platinum, no reliable signal, and there's no coming back from it. Platinum doesn't grow back. The residue from these cleaners keeps altering the surface for weeks after the sensor looks bone dry and spotless on the outside. Both of these land in the same place, folks. There's no liquid product on Earth that's safe for the active element of an oxygen sensor, none. If there's just some light soot built up on the outer metal housing, a dry rag handles that fine, but that's the housing, not the sensor itself. Number 4 and number 5 come from the guys who already figured out chemicals are risky and decided to go the mechanical route instead, brushing, sanding, or blasting it with compressed air. Same dead sensor waiting at the end. Brushing and sanding work great on a spark plug or an electrical contact, but that platinum film measured in micrometers doesn't survive any kind of abrasion, not a soft bristle brush, not fine grit sandpaper, not even a single second of contact. Once it's gone for good. Even touching that tip with your bare fingers leaves oil behind that throws off the reading, so whenever you're handling one of these, grab it by the housing and the wire, never the tip. And compressed air is the sneakiest of the bunch, because it looks completely harmless. That blast of air drives dirt and debris straight into the reference channels, clogs them up, and the sensor loses its comparison point. The worst part is how long it takes to show. The sensor can look and act perfectly normal for weeks before that clog starts messing with the reading, and by then the driver's long forgotten they ever cleaned it. This rule has no gray area. Never point compressed air at an oxygen sensor, and if it's wet, let it air dry at room temperature, never with direct heat. 5 completely different methods, and here's what they've all got in common. Not one person who tried any of them thought of themselves as careless. Every single one figured they were doing the responsible thing in the moment, and all 5 walk away with a dead sensor. On pretty much every other part of your car, cleaning it is taking care of it. On this one, cleaning it is destroying it, because the dirt that actually matters is locked inside the material where nothing can reach it. That's exactly why this is the sensor you should never clean, and exactly why it's the one everybody cleans anyway. So what do you actually do? There's one exception worth knowing. That perforated metal shield covering the tip can clog with soot on the outside, and when that happens the sensor responds slower even though it's perfectly healthy underneath. That one fixes itself. 20 minutes of steady highway driving burns off that light soot on its own. But that's a band-aid. It buys you a few weeks, not years. If the element is already contaminated on the inside, that trick does nothing for you. The real fix is diagnosing it with actual measured data, not eyeballing it. First tool, an OBD2 scanner. You can grab one for under $30. Plug it in with the engine at normal operating temperature and watch that sensor live. A healthy narrowband sensor swings smoothly between 0.1 and 0.9 volts, cycling at least 8 to 10 times a minute at idle. If that signal locks onto one number or jumps around with no rhythm to it, you've got a problem. On a wideband sensor, the kind mounted ahead of the catalytic converter on most newer cars. The scanner should show a lambda reading close to 1 once the engine settles down. Second tool, a multimeter, and here's the step almost nobody bothers with. The heater circuit runs completely separate from the signal circuit, and a sluggish heater feeds bad data in the first few minutes after startup, which happens to be exactly when the computer is doing the most adjusting to your fuel mixture, quietly hurting your mileage and emissions the whole time. To check it, unplug the sensor and measure the resistance across the heater terminals with your meter set to ohms. The correct cold reading falls between 2 and 14 ohms on Bosch, Denso, and NTK sensors. Outside that range, or if the reading jumps around when you wiggle the wire, that heater's shot, tip looking perfect or not. 30 seconds with a multimeter beats spending time cleaning a sensor you were never going to save that way anyway. If you've already cleaned yours before, don't panic just yet. If all you did was run a dry cloth over the housing, never touched the tip, never sprayed a thing on it, you're fine. That's the only kind of contact this part can actually handle. Every method carries its own timeline before symptoms show up. Brushing and sanding do the damage instantly, but you won't notice for weeks. Brake cleaner strips the platinum in seconds, but the sensor can still fool the system for a while after. Gasoline ruins it on the very first heat cycle, once it's back in the exhaust. Silicone damage builds up gradually. Compressed air is the slowest of them all. In every case, the damage happens long before the symptom shows up, which is exactly why nobody ever connects the cleaning to the breakdown. Keep an eye out for mileage climbing with no explanation, a rough idle, the engine feeling weak when it's cold, black smoke on a cold morning start, or that check engine light flickering on and off. On the scanner, watch for codes anywhere from P0130 to P0141, those point straight to the sensor circuit, or P0171 and P0172, which flag a lean or rich mixture. And check your long-term fuel trim. On a healthy engine that stays somewhere between -10 and +10%, anything outside that range means the computer's compensating for something it shouldn't have to. If you've used any of these 5 methods directly on that active tip, assume the sensor's compromised and go test it this week. Don't wait around for the light to come on, because by the time it does, you've already burned through months of extra gas and sent a bad mixture straight into your catalytic converter, and that repair costs a lot more than the sensor ever would. And whatever you do, don't try fixing it with another round of cleaning. That's the trap right there. Every attempt just piles more damage on top of the last one. When you're ready to pull the old sensor, the engine should be warm, not stone cold, not scorching hot. That way the manifold's slightly expanded and the threads break loose easier. Unplug the electrical connector before you turn a single wrench, or you'll twist up the wiring harness and create a whole new electrical problem for yourself. Use the specific 22mm socket with a slot cut for the wire, because the wrong tool rounds off that hex in a hurry and turns a driveway job into a trip to a specialty shop. If you're putting the same sensor back in, skip the penetrating oil entirely. Better to fight the wrench a little than poison the part you're trying to keep alive. If you're replacing it anyway, penetrating oil applied with a dropper or a small brush is fine, just never spray it on, and only with the sensor cold. When it comes time to replace it, stick with a brand that supplies OEM parts, Bosch, Denso, or NTK, since they guarantee the heater performance and the calibration of the element. The generic ones work fine for the first few weeks, and then the same problem creeps right back. Torque it down with a torque wrench, somewhere between 30 and 40 foot-pounds. Over-tighten it and you'll deform the threads and squeeze the ceramic. Under-tighten it and you'll get a leak that throws off the reading. Afterward, clear the codes and run it through 2 or 3 full drive cycles before you judge anything. Some values will sit outside the normal range while the computer relearns, and that's completely expected. The dirt that takes this sensor down lives inside the porous material, and no product on the shelf can reach it. WD-40 poisons it and takes the catalytic converter down right along with it. Gasoline gets trapped in the ceramic and blows out from the inside once it heats back up. Brake cleaner strips the platinum in seconds. A brush wipes it out permanently. Compressed air clogs the reference channels for good. 5 methods. Every one of them feels reasonable in the moment, every one of them destructive. This sensor was never meant to be cleaned. It's meant to be diagnosed with a scanner and a multimeter, and if it fails that test, it gets replaced. At the end of the day, the cheapest part in your entire exhaust system is also the most misunderstood one out there, and it's precisely because it looks so simple that people keep handling it the wrong way. If you've ever cleaned your own oxygen sensor, go test it this week. That heater check only takes 30 seconds. And here's what I really want to know down in the comments. Out of everybody watching right now, how many of you have hit your own oxygen sensor with brake cleaner without even knowing what it was doing to it? I've got a hunch that's going to be most of you, and I want to see if I'm right. And if you've got a feeling your car's been drinking more gas than it should, check out the video popping up on your screen right now. It'll walk you through exactly what's going on under there.